talk about that offer a little bit more. Dr. Lukoye Atwoli, who's the Dean of School of Medicine at Moi University, joining me now live from Eldoret. Dr. Lukoye Atwoli, help us understand, this is the same deal that has been offered to the doctors twice before?
So this is the same sort of deal that was allegedly offered to the doctors earlier. Although it must be very clear that in the view of the union, from what I understand, this is the first time a deal is being offered on the table for discussion. In the past, we have had deals being offered in the media. And as you know, negotiations cannot take place in the media. We have been adamant as the Kenya Medical Association and as the doctors' fraternity that all these discussions need to take place around a table where people can have give and take and agree. And this is, in my view, the first time there have been serious engagements of all the parties looking at a document that the government is offering. Unfortunately, it is exactly the same thing that was allegedly or purportedly offered earlier during these discussions when the strike began. All right. So in my view, it doesn't look like it is moving forward. It looks like it is still, marking time at the same place and refusing to discuss anything to do with the CBA that the doctors want to be discussed.
All right, we'll get to the money issues in just a moment. But then there was also the issue about hiring more doctors and more medical practitioners, shall I say. But the government wasn't specific on this, just reaffirming, and I quote, its commitment to ensuring equity in the nationwide distribution of doctors and continuous training. So there are some aspects of this that are a bit more specific than others. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. No, it looks to me like the proposal from the government was not very structured, it was not specific enough, and it did not address any of the demands to the level that one could call an agreement. Say, if the doctors were to sign this agreement, there's absolutely no commitment on training, there's absolutely no commitment on distribution of human resources for health, there's absolutely no commitment on equipment of facilities, there's nothing. The only thing that we are seeing specificity on is the money. And in my view, that was not even the most important component of the document that the doctors wanted to discuss.
And speaking of the money, why would this be any different? A CBA was signed in the year 2013, detailing, in quite some serious aspects, the issue of pay. And now we're haggling over a signed document at that time. There's now a deal on the table. Is there any indication that this offer that has been put in place by the president today would be any different from the CBA that was signed 3 years ago?
It is markedly different, but I mean, by way of preamble, I would like to point out that I do not think this is an offer that is being put forward by the president. This is an offer that was offered by the Ministry of Health at the beginning, and they have just rehashed it. They bring different people to start discussing it so that it looks like it's a fresh deal, but it isn't. It is my hope that the president will study this document that the doctors are presenting as a CBA in detail, read it together with the judgment of the industrial court, and find a path in which the doctors can come out with a CBA that is signed, and the government can be able to have a mechanism to implement this document for the betterness of the health sector of this country. The longer we wait, the more people die, the more people suffer, and yet it is a responsibility of the government to ensure that all Kenyans have access to high-quality healthcare services. So this is not yet a document that is worth discussing. The offer that has been given is too vague. It is contradictory. For instance, it talks about starting doctors at job group M instead of job group L, and then it goes ahead and offers enhancements to allowances at job group L, which will not be existing within the medical establishment. So it means it is not well thought out. The government needs to go back, think really more seriously about this, and make a serious offer that resolves the contentious issues in the CBA that was signed in 2013. Anything short of that will look cynical, it will look unserious on the part of the government.
All right, Dr. Atwoli, it is notable that the Council of Governors had no representation at this meeting. What's your take on that? And does this render this offer that has been put on the table useless in a sense? Do you think the governors will then come in and say, oh, it's fine, this deal was discussed in our absence, but, it's fine, we will implement it because health is now a devolved issue?
So I think one of the misconceptions that we have is that health is 100% devolved. One of the things we must always accept and agree is that health is a shared function between the national and the county governments. And therefore, they must do this together. However, at this point, they're discussing a human resource and remuneration issue and so on, something that the national government is able to provide policy direction on. And the advantage to the governors is that even if the national government negotiates this and reaches agreement with the doctors, the advantage is that it is the Treasury that must provide the funding. And therefore, wherever the doctors are, whether they are in the county or at the national level, the national government, the Treasury, must provide the funding to pay for an agreement that they sign. So the Council of Governors, it is important to involve them in the discussions. However, if they are not involved, they are in a position where they can say, well, it's a good agreement, we agree with it, give us the money to implement it. And it will be up to Treasury and the national government to find the money and distribute it to any place where the doctors are so that they are paid according to that agreement.
So just a quick one as we conclude. Do you think the doctors will take this deal or not on Friday?
I mean, it is clear to me that they have not taken the deal, because if they were going to take the deal, an agreement would have been signed today. We wouldn't be talking about a continuing impasse. And I would have been happy to see an agreement being signed today. And an agreement would only have been signed today if a serious offer that addresses the issues in the CBA had been put on the table. This has not been done. Therefore, there is no prospect that this same deal that has been offered today will be the same deal that will be accepted on Friday, unless there are changes, unless there are specificities that are written into it that address specific concerns that have been raised over the past 5 years by the medical fraternity. If a document that addresses those issues to specific detail is presented and signed, then yes, a deal will be signed. But as things stand today, nothing has changed. It's just an offer that we have seen in the media, and we think it is the same offer that was being presented in the past, and therefore the president needs to exert himself a little more, to push his technocrats a little more, to come out with a deal that will be more acceptable to the people in the health fraternity.
All right, thank you very much, Dr. Lukoye Atwoli, joining me live from Eldoret. He's the Dean of School of Medicine at the Moi University. Now, no deal yet, so we wait to see what happens on Friday. Now.